Welcome to DSLTV channel. Kindly like and subscribe. In the heart of the African savannah, where the sun painted the sky in gold and the wind whispered secrets of old, there lived a wealthy man named David. His mansion was a big estate with beautiful gardens and flowing fountains, a mind-blowing simplicity and rugged beauty of the land surrounding it. David's riches were legendary, his business remained unparalleled, yet he felt an emptiness that his wealth could not fill. Though he had everything he could ever want, David's heart remained empty, for he longed for a love that money could not buy. Every night, David would sit in his garden, staring at the sky of the savannah, wondering if true love was a mere myth or if it was out there, waiting for him. He had heard stories from his grandmother, tales of ancient times when love was pure and not for greed or ambition. These stories had left a mark in his heart, filling him with a something that grew stronger with every day. One evening, as the sun set, casting a fiery glow across the landscape, David made a decision. He would leave behind his life of luxury and set out on a journey to find true love. But he knew that to find a love that was genuine, he would need to disguise himself, to strip away the wealth and power that he had for so long. He called his most trusted servant, Muhammad, and revealed his plan. "Muhammad, I am leaving this place," David said. His voice was firm yet uncertain. "I will disguise myself as a humble beggar and journey across the land in search of true love." Muhammad's eyes widened in surprise, but he saw the determination in his master's eyes and knew that nothing could change his mind. "Very well, my lord," Muhammad replied. "I will prepare everything you need." Early the next morning, as the first light of dawn, David wore the simple clothes of a beggar. His fine silk robes were replaced with rough spun cloth, his gold jewelry left behind. With a staff in his hand and a small bag slung over his shoulder, David set out on his journey, leaving behind his mansion and all the comforts it held. As he walked through the savannah, the vastness of the land around him began to humble him. The horizon stretched endlessly, the sky a canvas of blues and oranges, the air filled with the sounds of life, the distant roar of a lion, the chirping of birds, the rustle of the wind through the tall grass. It was a stark contrast to the opulence of his former life, and David felt a sense of liberation he had never known. His journey took him through bustling marketplaces where traders haggled over goods, and through quiet villages where children played and elders told stories under the shade of ancient trees. David kept his identity a secret, presenting himself as a wanderer in search of work. Some people were kind, offering him food and shelter, while others were wary, suspicious of a stranger. One day, David arrived at a small village on the edge of a vast forest. The villagers were preparing for a festival, and there was a palpable sense of excitement in the air. Colorful decorations adorned the huts, and the scent of cooking filled the air. As David approached the village center, he saw a kind old woman sitting by a well, her eyes twinkling with wisdom and warmth. "Welcome, traveler," she said, her voice gentle. "You look tired and hungry. Come, sit with me, and share a meal." David gratefully accepted her offer and sat beside her. She handed him a bowl of steaming stew and a piece of bread. As he ate, he felt a sense of peace he had not known in a long time. The woman's kindness touched him deeply, and he felt a glimmer of hope in his heart. "My name is David," he said, introducing himself. "I am a wanderer, searching for something I cannot find." The old woman nodded knowingly. Sometimes, what we seek is not found in grand places, but in the simple acts of kindness we encounter along the way. Her words resonated with David, and he realized that his journey was not just about finding love, but about discovering the essence of humanity, the compassion, the generosity, the connections that bound people together. He thanked the old woman and stayed in the village for a few days, helping with the festival preparations and getting to know the villagers. As the festival began, David watched the villagers celebrate with music and dance, their joy infectious. He saw families come together, friends share laughter, and young couples dance with abandon. It was a celebration of life, of community, of love in its purest form. And in that moment, David felt a sense of belonging he had never felt before. But his journey was far from over. With a renewed sense of purpose, David bid farewell to the kind old woman and the villagers. He continued his journey, his heart filled with hope and determination. He knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them, for he believed that true love was worth any price. David's journey took him through diverse landscapes, each one more enchanting than the last. He walked through fields of wildflowers that stretched as far as the eye could see, their vibrant colors painting the landscape in shades of red, yellow, and purple. He crossed rivers that sparkled like liquid silver under the midday sun, their waters cool and refreshing. He climbed hills that offered breathtaking views of the land below, where he could see herds of wildebeest and gazelle moving gracefully across the plains. Despite the beauty around him, David faced many hardships. The days were long and tiring, and his feet ached from walking. The nights were cold, and he often found himself shivering beneath the stars, longing for the warmth of his bed back home. But he never lost sight of his goal, for he believed that true love was out there, waiting for him. One evening, as David made his way through a dense forest, he stumbled upon a small clearing where a group of travelers had set up camp. They welcomed him with open arms, offering him food and a place to rest. David joined them around the campfire, listening to their stories and sharing his own. As the night wore on, David noticed a young woman sitting quietly at the edge of the group. Her eyes were sad, and she seemed lost in thought. David felt a pang of compassion and approached her. "Hello," he said gently. "My name is David. What troubles you?" The young woman looked up, her eyes filled with tears. "My name is Amina," she replied softly. "I am on a journey to find my family, who were taken from me by raiders. I have been searching for so long, but I fear I may never find them." David's heart went out to Amina, and he felt a deep desire to help her. "I will help you find your family," he said firmly. "Together, we will not give up until we succeed." Amina looked at him with a mixture of hope and gratitude. "Thank you, David," she said, her voice trembling. "You are very kind." Over the next few days, David and Amina traveled together, searching for any clues that might lead them to her family. They questioned villagers and traders, followed trails and tracks, and faced many dangers along the way. But through it all, they grew closer, their bond strengthened by their shared determination and resilience. One day, as they walked through a remote village, they heard rumors of a group of raiders who had been captured by the local authorities. With renewed hope, they hurried to the village center, where they found a group of prisoners being held in a makeshift jail. Amina's eyes widened as she recognized one of the prisoners. "That's one of the raiders who took my family," she exclaimed. "We must speak to him and find out where they are." With the help of the village chief, David and Amina were able to question the prisoner. At first, he was uncooperative, but after much persuasion, he revealed the location of the raiders' hideout. With this information, David and Amina set out once more, determined to rescue her family. The journey was treacherous, but they pressed on, their hearts filled with hope and determination. After several days, they finally arrived at the hideout, a remote camp hidden deep in the forest. Under the cover of darkness, David and Amina approached the camp. They found Amina's family imprisoned in a makeshift cage, guarded by a handful of raiders. With careful planning and a bit of luck, they managed to free her family and escape undetected. As they made their way back to the village, Amina's family expressed their gratitude to David. "We are forever in your debt," her father said, his voice filled with emotion. "You have given us our lives back." Amina looked at David with tears in her eyes. "You have shown me what true kindness and courage are," she said. "I can never thank you enough." David felt a warmth in his heart that he had never felt before. He realized that his journey was not just about finding love, but about discovering the beauty of the human spirit, the compassion, the bravery, the connections that bound people together. With Amina and her family safe, David continued his journey, his heart filled with hope and determination. He knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them, for he believed that true love was worth any price. With Amina and her family now safe, David continued his journey with hope. The encounter had reinforced his belief in the power of human kindness and the strength of the bonds that connected people. He walked through lands that were new to him, encountering diverse cultures and learning from the people he met. In a small coastal village, David came across a fisherman named Michael, who was struggling to support his family. The sea had been unkind to Michael, yielding fewer fish each day. David offered to help him, and together they repaired Michael's boat and set out to sea. During their days on the water, David learned about the rhythms of the ocean and the patience required to be a fisherman. Michael shared stories of the sea, tales of mermaids and spirits that guarded the depths. David listened, absorbing the wisdom in Michael's words. One evening, as they returned to shore with a bountiful catch, Michael turned to David. "You have a good heart, my friend," he said. "The sea has blessed us because of your kindness." David felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Michael," he replied. "I have learned much from you." Leaving the coastal village, David traveled inland, where he encountered a vast desert. The journey through the arid landscape was grueling, and David's resolve was tested by the relentless heat and scarcity of water. But he pressed on, driven by the hope of finding true love. In the heart of the desert, David stumbled upon an oasis. There, he met a nomadic tribe led by a wise old man named Shehu. The tribe welcomed David, offering him shelter and food. He spent several days with them, learning about their way of life and the harsh realities of the desert. One night, around the campfire, Shehu shared a story about a mythical creature called the Desert Guardian. "The Guardian appears to those who are pure of heart," Shehu said. "It is said that the Guardian can grant a single wish to those it deems worthy." David was intrigued by the tale. "How can one find the Desert Guardian?" he asked. Shehu smiled. "The Guardian finds you when you are ready," he replied. "It is not something you can seek out." The words resonated with David. He realized that his journey was not just about seeking love, but about becoming the person worthy of such a profound connection. He thanked Shehu and the tribe for their hospitality and continued his journey. As David traveled further, he found himself in a dense jungle, teeming with life. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of exotic birds and animals filled the air. David marveled at the beauty of the jungle, but he also faced new challenges: treacherous terrain, venomous snakes, and fierce predators. In the heart of the jungle, David came across a village built high in the trees. The villagers, who called themselves the Sky People, had learned to live in harmony with the jungle. They welcomed David, fascinated by his stories of distant lands. Among the sky people, David met a healer named Adebisi. She was known for her knowledge of medicinal plants and her ability to heal the sick. David was captivated by her wisdom and grace. He spent several weeks with Adebisi, learning about the plants and the delicate balance of the jungle. One day, a young boy from the village fell seriously ill. The villagers were in despair, fearing the worst. Adebisi worked tirelessly, using her knowledge to try and save the boy. David assisted her, following her instructions and helping in any way he could. Through their combined efforts, the boy began to recover. The villagers were overjoyed and expressed their gratitude to Adebisi and David. "You have a gift, David," Adebisi said. "Your compassion and willingness to help others are rare qualities." David felt a deep connection to Adebisi, but he knew his journey was not yet complete. He thanked her and the sky people for their kindness and continued on his way. As David traveled, he reflected on the people he had met and the lessons he had learned. Each encounter had taught him something new about himself and the world. He realized that true love was not just about finding a partner, but about understanding and embracing the essence of humanity. One day, David found himself at the edge of a vast mountain range. The peaks towered above him, their snow-capped summits glistening in the sunlight. The journey through the mountains was arduous, but David was determined to continue. As he climbed higher, David encountered a hermit named Amarochi, who lived in a small cabin on the mountainside. Amarochi had chosen a life of solitude, seeking peace and enlightenment away from the distractions of the world. David was intrigued by Amarochi's choice and decided to stay with him for a while. Amarochi taught David about meditation and the importance of inner peace. They spent hours in quiet contemplation, surrounded by the majestic beauty of the mountains. David found a sense of clarity and purpose that he had never known before. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the mountaintop, Amarochi turned to David. "You have traveled far and seen much," she said. "What is it that you seek?" David pondered the question. "I seek true love," she replied. "A love that is pure and untainted by wealth or power." Amarochi nodded. "True love is a reflection of your own soul," she said. "When you find peace within yourself, you will attract the love you seek." The words resonated deeply with David. He realized that his journey was as much about self-discovery as it was about finding love. He thanked Amarochi for his wisdom and continued on his way. As David descended the mountains, he felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. He had come to understand that true love was not something to be found, but something to be cultivated within oneself. He had learned to appreciate the beauty of life and the connections that bound people together. One day, as he walked through a lush valley, David came across a village celebrating a wedding. The entire village was filled with joy, and David was invited to join the festivities. He watched as the bride and groom exchanged vows, their faces radiating happiness. As he observed the celebration, David felt a sense of longing. He realized that he was ready to open his heart to love. He had journeyed far and learned much, and he was now prepared to embrace the love he had sought for so long. As the wedding celebration continued, David's eyes were drawn to a woman standing at the edge of the crowd. She was watching the festivities with a gentle smile, her eyes filled with warmth and kindness. David felt an inexplicable connection to her and decided to approach her. "Hello," he said, introducing himself. "My name is David. May I have the pleasure of your company?" The woman smiled and nodded. "I am Nefusat," she replied. "It is a pleasure to meet you, David." They spent the evening talking and getting to know each other. David shared his journey and the lessons he had learned, while Nefersat spoke of her life and her dreams. They found a deep connection, and David felt a sense of joy and fulfillment he had never known before. As the night drew to a close, David realized that he had found what he had been searching for. True love was not a destination, but a journey of self-discovery and growth. It was about finding peace within oneself and connecting with others on a deeper level. With Nefersat by his side, David knew that his journey was just beginning. He had found true love, not in grand places or extravagant gestures, but in the simple act of kindness and the connections he had made along the way. Together, David and Nefersat set out on a new journey, one filled with love, compassion, and the promise of a future built on the lessons they had learned. And as they walked hand in hand through the savannah, David knew that he had found his true home, not in a mansion of gold, but in the heart of the woman he loved.